Imagine that you have a particular dish that you really like to eat. It might be a family favorite. It might be something that you've always liked to eat since you were really little. And then all of a sudden, you're not allowed to have that anymore because either it's too complicated to make, or the ingredients are too expensive, or it takes too long to prepare.
Or you're allergic.
Or you're suddenly allergic to whatever ingredient is in it. How would that make you feel?
I would try to find a variation on the food.
Okay. What do you think? What would you do?
I would feel crummy.
Yeah.
Totally crummy. I mean, I used to like almonds. Every once in a while, I would eat them with my mom, but all of a sudden we realized that I was allergic to nuts. But just recently, I found out that the almond is related to the peach instead of a nut, but it's considered a nut. And the doctor said, stay away from all nuts at all times. I feel horrible now.
Right, so you can't do things like the nut butters and a lot of processed boxed foods are made in facilities where they process nuts, so you have to kind of think, oh, am I going to risk it, right? So you have to read a lot of labels. That's difficult, isn't it? The thing that I'm passionate about is trying to take some of that anxiety out of food. So I asked around to people, and there's a lot of people who have food allergies or who eat vegetarian or vegan because they can't handle meat anymore. So they really limit their diet, and it makes them miserable. They're not doing it because it's a healthy thing or it's a fad diet. They're doing it because they have no choice. When you don't have a lot of money and you have to restrict your diet, you are stuck. You can't feed yourself well because you have to constantly buy something that's probably a little bit more expensive than what other people can afford. When I used food pantries, when my first daughter was born, I would go in and they would give you a bag of food, and it was very impersonal, and you were made to feel rather uncomfortable, like they were doing you a favor. And it wasn't a very nice experience. You'd go in and you'd have to sit in a chair and you wait your turn, and they would call you to come in and they'd file paperwork, and then you'd come out and they'd hand you 2 bags of stuff, and it might be a box of cereal and some like cakey stuff and a container of peanut butter and white rice and white pasta and pasta sauce with lots of sugar in it, and you say thank you because that's all they've got. And that's really how people survive from month to month. Is if you have food stamps, you also usually are accessing a food pantry. And so your diet is poor. You probably feel really embarrassed about it. You don't talk about it with other people. And so there's this assumption that that there's no way to fix it. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm starting a program called Food Ethics for Buffalo. And I want to change that. I want to put it all on its ear. And I want to give people who have to access food pantries an opportunity to improve their diet.
Were there any companies or grocery stores that supported you and helped you out?
Yes, a number of the local small shops here have been extremely supportive. Spar's European sausage makers, 5 Points Bakery, I mentioned them earlier, they're tremendous. They just started taking food stamps there, so I know that they're stepping up to making their product accessible. And then the co-op also is stepping up in donating a tremendous amount of food to the food pantry. The Western New York Food Bank receives large barrels of sustainable organic product from their shoppers who continually fill that barrel every week with all kinds of wonderful products that folks don't normally have access to.
She has committed her life to this cause, to helping other people, right?
Yeah, it's almost like this one topic that we were going over in my ELA class, and they were saying, what would you do, what would you sacrifice to save somebody or something you love?
I I like that word that you used, is sacrifice, and that is what social justice advocates do every day of their life, is they sacrifice their life for something that they feel so passionate about. Right? And Miss Annie is another perfect example.
Thank you. I'm going to ask something. I'm curious, what is it?
I've been here multiple times for lots of cooking things, and Miss Annie's always been there, like helping out, always walking around, and helping me cook different dishes and stuff. And it's always a great opportunity to jump in there and get done whatever you want done, or try new things, to do new things. And Miss Annie's always there by my side to help me.